everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and have kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and maintenance. Today we're going to talk about the myriad issues with processed meats, not just in regards to weight loss and management, but vis-a-vis overall health. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my podcast, The Awakened Man, which has probably around 400 episodes. My website, Naturopathic Earth, which has tons of articles and recipes, all written by me. Check out my books, and if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. Now, processed meats. We covered this tangentially in the episode on the problem with frozen foods, because many of the frozen foods that we eat are processed meats as well. So there's going to be a little overlapping, and I'll make sure I put a banner for that episode. Processed meats are problematic mainly in terms of longevity of health, because they do increase your chances of getting cancer. There was a big study that came out like 2-3 years ago that even Time Magazine, a lot of places covered, about the links between processed meat and cancer. We know that there's a very, very strong link between processed meats and colorectal cancer. But the studies were saying that in general, processed meat is overall a class 2A carcinogen, which means likely to cause cancer. And in particular to colorectal cancer, it is a class 1 carcinogen, meaning it does cause cancer. So we want to stay away from processed meats. Now, what are processed meats? These are meats that are going to be, something's been done to them to make them frankenfoods. Normally, the processed meats are going to be shot up with fake preservatives like sodium nitrate, sodium nitrite, potassium sorbate, things like this. Now, this is different than we learned to cure meats with salts centuries ago. You can go to Europe still. I remember going to Spain, I think I was there 20 years ago, just walking down the street and I pass a meat market and there's just legs of pigs just hanging, waiting to be bought. And they don't get bad because they're so shot up with salt. So in the old days, we would use salt to preserve meat, but this is different because these are essentially industrial grade preservatives. And so processed meats are not freshly killed from the chicken or the cow or whatever. These are meats that have been killed and then shot up with tons of stuff weeks, if not months ago. So this stuff is just absolute garbage. So what are the most famous processed meats? Hot dogs. I hate to tell you, deli meat. Subway has this great lie about we're the healthy choice. Actually, you're arguably worse because your meat is full of carcinogenic ingredients. Aside from that, they were caught putting AZO into their bread, which is the same chemical they use in yoga mats. We have an episode on that at The Awakened Man I did probably back in 2019. But you're looking at, we can have processed chicken, processed fish, pretty much everything that's served at a cafeteria for kids is fake and processed because it's cheaper, right? So like if you look at processed meats like hot dogs, bacon can be processed depending on what type you get. Certainly you can buy sodium-free or nitrite-free bacon. But normally for these animals, they're just scraped up leftover parts like tendons, ligaments, brain, testicles, and they just kind of, you've seen the videos how they make chicken McNuggets, for example, and they just kind of get in this big paste and pour it into molds. So you can certainly have fresh chicken breast, but you can also have processed chicken. McDonald's says they don't do those anymore, but certainly you can still get these, not only at your supermarkets, but a lot of fast food places will use fake chicken, processed chicken, and so forth. So I, as a kid, go to the Confessions of an Obese Child series. I should have an episode of my favorite foods that got me fat. Maybe I'll do a future episode of that. But I used to eat those little Vienna sausages that would come in a can, you pop open. It was just absolute garbage. So hot dogs, deli meats, same thing for like pepperoni, that's processed as well. There's a wide variety of just, essentially if it's coming in a can, it's not natural. Because fresh meat should be, in the meat section, refrigerated, and so forth. I mean, that's not to say you can't get relatively fresh meat that's been frozen. Certainly people hunt and then they freeze that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. These are just the fake meats. So they did a study not that long ago, and they correlated that those who eat, and you can look at the graph, those who eat more processed food, processed means what they call ultra-processed foods here. And this is not just going to be processed meat food, but this is kind of like what we talked about in the frozen food section. Notice how their caloric intake is a lot higher than people that don't eat that unprocessed, because frozen foods, fake foods, these Franken foods, they shoot up with a lot more calories. They shoot up with tons of more sugar and fat to hit that bliss point. So it's not surprising that the calories are going to be higher on a given day if you're eating a lot more of these processed meats and processed foods. And then you notice on the bottom part how those who have an ultra processed food have a body weight change much higher than those who eat unprocessed. Now, this isn't shocking. So, in closing, the main reason you should stay away from processed meats, I know they taste good, but why do they taste good is all that salt, is because they cause cancer. And 1 in 2 men will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime, and 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed. Doesn't mean you'll die from it, but you'll be diagnosed with it. And nobody wants to be diagnosed with cancer. So we want to kind of stay away from things that cause cancer. We know free radical damage can cause it. We have a future episode on vitamin C coming out. And we just don't want to get cancer. So let's stay away from things that cause us cancer. So that's the main reason you want to stay from processed meats. But the other reason is just the nature of processed meats is that they're injecting more crap into it, including monosodium glutamate, that's going to make the food more addictive. And just all these are going to have extra calories, which then, of course, jeopardize your weight loss and your weight maintenance. So I'm not saying you can never have a hot dog again, albeit I haven't had a hot dog in years. And certainly bacon tastes good. With bacon, you can find fresh bacon, I suppose, that isn't going to be processed and it is not shot up with the preservatives. But as a whole, just try to stay away from any processed meats and certainly the deli meats as much as you can. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with others. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.